Over $200 million was liquidated from the crypto market in just 60 minutes. So with volatility back in full force, over the past day, everything is down anywhere between 10 and 20% for the entire crypto market. Over the past month, most projects down over 30%. And over the past year, tons of projects are down 70%. 80%, with a select few like XRP up 220%. We got up 764%, Tron up 92%, but projects like ICP down 73%, and Ethereum down over 53% from over $4,000 to $1,500 now. The entire market is being distracted right now with the tariffs. So in this video, we have to talk about the truth about what's really going on, because Trump just posted this on Truth Social saying we have massive financial deficits with China, the European Union, and many others. The only way this problem can be cured is with tariffs, which are now bringing tens of billions of dollars into the USA. They are already in effect and a beautiful thing to behold. The surplus with these countries has grown during the presidency of sleepy Joe Biden. We are going to reverse it, and reverse it quickly. Someday people will realize that tariffs for the United States of America are a very beautiful thing. Now, is that true, or is that all just a bunch of BS? We'll pay close attention over the next couple minutes, because we've uncovered some shocking information about what's coming next from the Federal Reserve, what this means for Bitcoin in the short term, the midterm, the long term, what this means for XRP, inflation in the United States, and why Donald Trump is creating the next 2008 on purpose. That could either be the most genius move of all time or an absolute train wreck disaster, because the Treasury has about $7 trillion of debt to refinance in 2025. And with the rise of the US American debt ceiling nearing $37 trillion now, we are teetering on the edge of one of the biggest crashes in history. So if you guys want to see what I'm doing to navigate these markets while they are extremely volatile right now, to be able to make an extra 8 to 9 figures over the next 6 to 12 months, then pay close attention to this video. You're going to absolutely love it. As always, comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. So with Trump's aggressive reciprocal tariff move, the odds of 5 rate cuts from the Federal Reserve in 2025 are surging on Polymarket. The markets are betting that the Fed will be forced to ease much faster than expected. And on the CME group, the next FOMC meeting is in about 30 days, 16 hours. And the odds have shifted from 63.5% people expecting them to keep rates steady, 36.5% are expecting a rate cut. In my video yesterday, it was actually 70.2% were expecting them to keep it steady. So the odds are shifting. What would cause the Fed to cut rates in the next 30 days would be more panic in the market. You know, the Fed usually responds too late. So they wouldn't cut rates unless they absolutely needed to. For example, if we go back on the Bitcoin price chart to what happened right here from, the 12th of February until the 13th of March, Bitcoin crashed over 60% in less than a month. And since the 20th of January this year, Bitcoin went from almost $110,000 and it has crashed about 29% over the course of 76 days. So while people are freaking out, while they are panicking, the reality of the situation and the fact of the matter is this isn't that bad. We've actually been through this before many times, this bull run thus far. In fact, going back from July of 2023 until September of 2023, we can see that Bitcoin sold off from about $31,000 to about $24,000, $25,000, about 21% over the course of 2 months. And on this massive red candle here on the 17th of August, it took Bitcoin about 67 days before it broke that range and then broke out to a new high after that. And so currently, with the massive sell-off that took place on the 24th of February, we are only about 42 days into this range right here below the support that Bitcoin held from the 26th of November until it broke that support on the 25th of February. And so similar to the right-hand side of the screen, we can see some similarities here on the relative strength index and also the MACD that I'll break down for you over the next few minutes. So pay close attention here. Right now we're on the daily chart here. As we can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the relative strength index has been in a downtrend ever since the 11th of November. The RSI breached 82 when the price was all the way up here at about $91,000, and the price made higher highs on the left-hand side of the screen while the relative strength index made lower highs. So this is a bearish divergence. Now on the right hand side of the screen, you guys can see Bitcoin went from like $31,000-ish to 31,800. It made higher highs on the price chart, whereas the relative strength index went from 71 to about 66, making a lower high, which is a bearish divergence. And all that means is momentum is shifting from bullish momentum over to bearish momentum, and eventually we see a break of support. In this case, this was a flash crash from the $29,000 region all the way down to the $25,000 region. And then, like I just mentioned, Bitcoin went sideways for about 60 days before breaking out again. So look at the relative strength index. During that downtrend of lower highs for Bitcoin, the relative strength index made lower highs as well and bottomed out all the way down here at about 19 in oversold conditions when the price dropped down to about $25,000 right here. Now look on the left-hand side of the screen for some confluence here. When the price dropped from about $95,000 all the way down here to $76,000, the relative strength index bottomed out down here at about 24 in oversold conditions. And from the 17th of August of 2023, Bitcoin attempted to make a recovery back up to this resistance, couldn't even make it to it, and got sold down aggressively really quick. We can see on the left-hand side of the screen that kind of happened with Trump's strategic crypto reserve news. Bitcoin rallied up to $94,000, a little bit above this range. It got sold back down aggressively, back to the support at about $77,000. And so now all Bitcoin is doing is ranging between resistance and support. And with Trump's reciprocal tariff news, the price is slapped back down into the zone of support. But here's a key thing to note here, okay? On the right-hand side of the screen, look at how the price got slapped back down into support, but the relative strength index made a higher low on the daily chart right here back in September of 2023, whereas the price chart made a lower low. So what this is a reversal signal. It could either be a medium or a strong bullish divergence, meaning that the price chart right here makes a lower low, but the oscillator or the indicator, which is the relative strength index, makes a higher low. So you guys can see right here on the right-hand side of the screen, the price chart went from $25,240 to $24,887. So that's a lower low. Even though it's not that drastic, it is a lower low. That's a fact. So that's why this could be a medium bullish divergence, just because you guys can see the price right here is not making that much of a lower low, but it is a lower low. Whereas a strong one is where the price makes a strong, noticeable lower low on the price chart, but yet the oscillator or the indicator is making a higher low in green right here, which is exactly what happened. You can see the relative strength index went from 18 right here to about 33 by the 11th of September. And so this is a reversal signal, and that was the lowest low of that consolidation period for Bitcoin right here, because as you can see, we just made higher lows from there until inevitably the price broke out to a new all-time high. Now let's look at the left-hand side of the screen and let's see if we can see some confluence here. So we can see Bitcoin's price is right in this zone of support right here at about $78,900. And so this low right here that brought the relative strength index down below 30 to about 23 was priced at about $78,284 at this wick right here. So the first sign of this bullish divergence right here is this lower low on the price chart where this wick was at about $76,500, whereas we saw the first higher low for the relative strength index to about 32. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the low is in yet, because right now we have formed a little bit of a higher low than the 11th of March, but it is technically a lower low, although not a drastic one, than the 28th of February. And the relative strength index is putting in another higher low, whereas the price chart is somewhat equal, but a little bit lower than the 20th of February when the RSI was at about 23.24. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would consider this a medium bullish divergence. So my expectations for Bitcoin is for us to range between support and resistance, somewhat similar to what we did all through here between September 2023 and the 16th of October, unless some other crazy news hits the market, which could potentially happen based on what I'm going to share with you throughout the rest of this video. So keep watching. But paying just close attention to the charts right now, we can see the MACD as well too has been in a downtrend since this bearish cross on the 25th of November. When the MACD line in blue crossed below the signal line all the way up here at about 6,000, the exact same thing that happened on the 5th of July of 2023 for this bearish cross, giving the MACD enough time to reset all the way below zero here, while the price reset as well too. So looking at the left-hand side of the screen, the MACD is reset all the way below zero here, and we're just waiting to see if we can make a recovery back above zero, similar to what happened here between September and October of 2023. So we'll see if this plays out similarly to what we've seen in the past, and what we all had to hold through while everyone was freaking out down here on the 11th of September. And you guys can see here on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index by the 12th of September, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index was at 30, whereas right now we're at 23. We're in more fear than we were all the way back here when the price was at $25,000. But yet Bitcoin's price is about $79,000. So people are more afraid while the price is 3x what it was down at these levels. It's crazy how sentiment works in the crypto market. Now looking at the XRP to the US dollar price chart, XRP has been in this bearish channel since the 16th of January in a downtrend, just forming lower highs and lower lows. But it's been bouncing off of this horizontal support since the 10th of December, where you can see multiple points of contact right here, right here, right here. The price reversed to the upside, then came back down within this range again, right here, with this massive wick on the first tariff announcement, right here. Then Trump announced the strategic crypto reserve with XRP. XRP pumped from about $2.18 to $3, and it got sold right back off again. So that was a big sign that there was more pain coming, because the president of the freaking United States, guys, announced XRP, a part of a strategic reserve. That's some of the most bullish information we could possibly have, and yet the price sold all the way back down to where it was before the announcement happened. So that was a telltale sign that XRP was not going to make a new all-time high anytime soon, because we bounced right back into this zone of support right here, and now we're at it again. So the real question everyone has is, will XRP see further sell-off to the downside, or will we hold this support, reverse to the upside, break this trend, and eventually blast off to new all-time highs? Because with 7 points of contact at the support, the more the XRP hangs out around these levels, the weaker that the support gets. And if Bitcoin does not see what happened between September of 2023 to October and makes higher lows on the price chart, inevitably breaking out to the upside, it could get very nasty for XRP holders over the next 1 to 2 months. So pay close attention, because this is extremely important right here. Anthony Pompliano posted this, and I've been sharing this in the past few videos, talking about trueflation, because the Federal Reserve may have to make an emergency rate cut soon. Inflation has fallen to the lowest levels since 2020. And if this continues, it will be a massive problem, because the Fed has said they want to keep inflation at 2%. If we go beneath that, that's actually not a good thing. And if we stay above it, that's not a good thing as well too. So the Fed has a very difficult job to do. And tomorrow is Black Monday, so people are on edge right now, wondering what's about to happen to their portfolios. So could Donald Trump be creating the next 2008 on purpose? And is his goal to collapse the crypto and the stock market to be able to buy in cheaper? Well, I thought this was an interesting post from my lady here on Twitter, showing how he's making everyone poor to save the US from a massive $7 trillion debt bubble, and what to do before Black Monday. Because this fear and greed index, different from the crypto one, is actually showing that it hit 4, the lowest level ever recorded. So sentiment is in the dumpster right now. It's lower than COVID, it's lower than the FTX collapse, lower than the 2008 crash. This isn't just panic, it's planned fear. And for a lot of people, it feels like 2008 again, with debt piling up, banks are fragile, markets are ignoring the warning signs, and retail is getting completely caught off guard. Here's the problem. The US needs to refinance $7 trillion of debt over the next 6 months, but yet interest rates are still high. So how do you make refinancing cheaper? Well, one way is to let the markets crash, which causes bonds to rally. And when bonds rally, yields drop, allowing the government to refinance for less. So here's a possible explanation for what Trump could be planning, because he might be using tariffs as a multi-pronged tool to force a market correction and shift economic dynamics in his favor, because stocks in the crypto market are crashing because tariffs right now. You know, everyone's freaking out. Anytime he mentions tariffs, traders with like 7 different monitors and paper hands sell out because they got no grit. So this is signaling massive trade disruptions and higher costs for businesses, which spooks traders into selling risky assets and fleeing to safer ones like US Treasury bonds, driving bond prices up and yields down. And if we look at the US 10-year right now, it has dropped from 4.8% to 3.9%. And if we also look at the 2-year, I talked about this in a previous video, how it's dropped from 4.4%, getting rejected from this zone that was support January of 2024 as resistance, going from upwards of 5.2% to 3.5% now. So lower yields means cheaper borrowing costs for the government, because with 7 trillion in debt maturing this year, refinancing at, let's say, 3% instead of 4.5% could save billions in interest payments annually. And this is critical when the federal budget's already stretched extremely thin right now. Because as you can see right here on the US debt clock, the US federal spending is at $7 trillion, but yet the US federal tax revenue is only $5 trillion. So there's $2 trillion that they need to come up with, because the deficit right now is at $2 trillion. And it's not just the $36.6 trillion US national debt that's the main problem here. It's the interest that the government has to pay on that debt that they can't afford. So the secret plan could be to engineer the short-term market chaos to reset the board. And by crashing stocks and crypto, Trump might be aiming to pressure the Federal Reserve to cut rates, or at least that's what he said, amplifying the drop in yields. So this makes refinancing the debt cheaper, easier fiscal strain. Tariffs could also be a negotiation chip, threatening high levies, scaring the market, then scale them back in trade deals, forcing the hands of other countries to negotiate. Because as Eric Trump said in a post that I talked about yesterday, if you didn't watch that video, go check that video out, how he's seen this movie play out his entire life, and how it would be stupid to be the last country to try and negotiate a deal with the United States. The smartest countries are going to move first to drop their tariffs on the United States so they can see the reciprocal tariffs drop. Plus, if manufacturing returns to the US as a result, it's a long-term win, even if it's painful now, because more businesses, more farms, more factories will do business in the United States rather than going overseas, because the tariffs are just too high to have a profitable business. So why the timing right now? If Trump said the markets are going to boom, why is he causing this crash? Well, the debt deadline looms, and he's front-loading the pain early in his term to get this ugly stuff out the way, then pivot to growth policies like tax cuts later, hoping that the markets will recover by midterms. So the bond market's reaction, which is yields dropping, shows that investors are buying the safety play, at least for right now, selling out of riskier stuff like stocks and crypto. But the debt angle fits the puzzle pieces, especially with $7 trillion on the line. It's a high-stake gamble, guys. Tank the market short term, save on debt costs, then ride a recovery wave. Super, super risky, but potentially brilliant if it works. So what do you think? In the short term, the global response is going to be very harsh. Trade partners will retaliate, US exports will suffer, corporate profits are going to shrink, supply chains are going to slow down, and behind the scenes, liquidity is drying up, volume is falling, order books are thin, markets look stable, but they're not. They're propped up on a mountain of debt, which is a similar setup to what we saw in 2008 before the collapse. So what about crypto? Well, it's positioned to benefit long-term with friendlier regulation policies, stablecoin bills coming, the strategic crypto reserve, Bitcoin stockpile, companies buying more crypto, you name it. But during massive volatility like this, when people just don't know what Trump's moves are going to do to the market, well, Bitcoin and Ethereum get sold for liquidity. That gets moved into bonds. Altcoins drop 65, some of them 95%, which I showed you at the beginning of this video. Over the past year, some of these are down already 70%. And some of these are big projects, guys. These aren't fly-by-night companies. Optimism is down 79%, Polygon 81%, Near Protocol 68%, Render, some of the best AI projects in the game, 70%. Even ICP, one of the best projects in the industry, 72%. So only after the dust settles will crypto rally. And when the Fed finally decides to pivot, it could happen very, very quick with emergency rate cut, quantitative easing, liquidity surge, adding to their balance sheet. The markets could reprice very, very quickly. And crypto could lead the rebound, but not before a deep correction first, leading a lot of people to believe that we actually have much further to go to the downside before we work our way on out of here. So what I am doing right now to be able to play these markets correctly is doubling down on my business, Altcoin Pro, to help as many people as possible educate themselves about the crypto market. And when you guys click the link in the description below, you'll be able to watch a video and get started with Altcoin Pro University. We have about 1,000 students right now, 100 plus expert curated classes. And now it's more important than ever before to learn about crypto and to discover how to diversify your portfolio and also protect your income through all of the modules here. Because guys, you don't make money buying into crypto at all-time highs. That's how you get wrecked. And I get it that it's a catch-22 because everyone's fearful, and if the markets go even lower, People are going to be even more afraid than ever before. But at some point, crypto will bottom out and we will see a reversal to the upside. And then people end up chasing those rallies and they end up buying the pumps before we see the market sell off again. So you don't want to get caught buying the relief rallies during a bear market, and you don't want to get caught buying the top during a bull market. The smartest investors in the world have macro patience, and they know which narratives see the most liquidity injection when we're down in levels like this, after retail sentiment is in the dumps and newbies sell out when the markets crash down to lowest levels. Look, guys, the dumbest people in the world were selling when Bitcoin was at $16,000, $15,000, whereas the smartest people in the world were accumulating down here. I pretty much sold everything that I had and I dumped it into crypto when Bitcoin was at $16,500. Now, does that make me better than everyone? Absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty dumb. I don't know a lot about crypto, and that's why I teamed up with the smartest people in the space to create Altcoin Pro University to bring to you guys the best research team that told me this crash was going to happen. And they've been preparing our community for a while, showing them the best ways to make money during a downturn as well too. For example, our endless airdrop strategy right here is how you can make money while the markets are going down in a bear market. And even during a bear market, a lot of these airdrops that our team called, guys, made our members a lot of money while the markets were doing virtually nothing. On top of that, there's different DeFi yield strategies when you go through the diving into DeFi course, so you can understand what is decentralized finance, how liquidity pools work, centralized exchanges versus decentralized exchanges, how to pick the right validators, what is a perp dex, utilizing bridge aggregators. If you don't know what any of that means, it's time to up your education about crypto. So click the link in the description below, join over 1,000 people right now. It's only $97 a month. You can pay as you go. There's no contract, no commitment. We want to make this affordable for everyone because we know times are tough in crypto right now, but the best investment that you can make is in you. You are the best asset. Invest in your mindset. Don't be stingy here. A lot of people will go out and they'll buy a new pair of shoes for $100, but they don't invest in themselves and they wonder why they're broke. I became a millionaire before 30 because anytime I made money in my business, I dumped it back into my education to grow my mindset, to develop new skills that can make that money back and more, because money is just a tool. If you hoard onto it, think of it like manure. It's going to stink, it's going to rot. But if you spread it around, then everything grows. So for only $97, guys, you get access to 100 plus expert curated classes. Most people are charging like $10,000 for this type of stuff, and we're giving it away for 97 bucks. So it's a no-brainer. We have live weekly calls under the calendar right here. You just click this every Monday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, and we're going to be adding even more calls here for the same price. So Altcoin Pro is just going to keep getting better even while the markets go lower or sideways, and our team is going to keep providing you with daily market updates, altcoin picks, technical analysis, DeFi yields, airdrop alerts. Plus, you can plug in with our global community to connect, chat, network with like-minded investors around the world. So worst case scenario, you click the link in the description below, you watch the video on the other side, and you learn something new. It's free to watch. You don't have to get started, but you will learn the reason why we've had so many people join and massive success stories made thus far. And don't believe me, listen to the success stories by clicking the link below, watching the video. We're about to drop our affiliate program as well too. So if you guys want to become an affiliate and earn passive income on the front end, that's what I would suggest you double down on while learning trading at the same time, so you have multi-skills during a recession or even a depression to be able to print money on demand. See, the markets could go to absolutely zero and I feel completely calm, completely collected because I have skills to pay the bills. And so if you want to learn those skills, then plug in with our research team at altcoinpro.com. I will see you guys on the next video. I appreciate you for watching this. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I do my best to read the comments and get back to you guys. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.